Is it failure or is it feedback? Here's a way to reframe failure and never waste a good mistake. Now, I'm gonna tell you a story about my own experience because I've had lots of ups. I've had lots of successes, but I've also had lots of challenges too. One of my hardest ones financially for me in my life happened during the last recession. Now, many of you guys have heard the story where, at least if you watch enough of these videos, by the way, like and subscribe if you do, if you wanna see more of these. But in my own story, although I became financially independent when I was 28 years old, when the recession hit, I started getting sloppy, right? I got a little sloppy in the sense that I started gambling with my money a little bit more. I started running up my expenses and not tracking my money, all the things I teach you to do now, right? But I got a little bit lazy there. Not to mention, I started a brand new business and I cut off my passive income streams so that I could focus all on that business. Huge mistake. Well, or was it? That's the thing. It's a good mistake if you do this. And number one, you learn something from it, right? So for me, I was going through some hard times. I got to the point where I went from millionaire to upside down millionaire. I was in the hole $16,000 a month. That means that although I was making $5,000, $6,000 a month in my business, my expenditures between my business and my personal life were about $21,000, $22,000 a month. That means really I went from great, financially independent to now owing $16,000 every month. There was way too much month at the end of my money. And as a result, I went over $1 million in debt. In fact, if you looked at any homeless person on the street, they were $1 million richer than I was. And I was at the point where I was worried if I was gonna be on the street. I remember it was getting so hard, especially in 2008, going into 2009. We hadn't been paying our mortgage. We were wondering if we were gonna get foreclosed on or not. We were trying to work at the bank. Unfortunately, it was Lehman Brothers. Yeah. You know that story. Lehman Brothers was definitely not helping anybody out during that time. So we were wondering if we're gonna have a home. I was losing my McMansion. I already turned in my car. I said, here, take my car. Creditors were calling me multiple times a day, calling me up. I remember the guy that called me up about the car I turned in. They ended up auctioning it off for $30,000 less than I owed on the car. So the guy calls me up, he says, yes, Mr. Miles, we're here to collect a debt. We wanna see if we can work out a deal with you. Can you pay us $1,200 a month to pay off this debt? I said, my payment was $1,100 a month. If I could pay that payment, I wouldn't have to be talking to you right now. And I just told him, I can't pay it. What can you pay it? I don't know. I don't know when I can pay it. I'm broke right now. And he's like, you're the reason why this country's in financial ruins right now. It's your fault. And it just hurt me so bad. I'm like, do you understand? I hired people. Like, people had jobs because of the businesses that I had. And you're telling me I ruined the economy. So it's that kind of stuff I'd hear day in and day out. I would start avoiding creditor calls. Even my wife at that time, she was saying, hey, do I need to move out with the kids and just let you figure out the stuff on your own? Do I need to move in with my sister? No, I don't want you to do that. That would be the worst thing for me. And so it was a bad, bad time. I would watch movies like Cinderella Man with Russell Crowe, and I'd watch that movie, I would start crying. I was like, that's me, I can't even afford milk. Guys, I was literally on welfare. I was on food stamps, I was getting welfare. Sometimes I was wearing my suit before I went to the office to teach people about money. I was going to pick up food orders so that I could feed my family. Guys, that's how bad it was. It was horrible. Like, it was humiliating. I felt like a failure in my life. I felt like a failure as a husband and as a father. And I had all these young kids I had to worry about how to take care of, and I couldn't do it. So I'm not here just to depress you. Obviously, I'm talking to you today because I survived. But what got me through that? There were some key things that I had to change in my mindset to help me weather through that storm. It wasn't what I did necessarily, but financially that helped. It was what I had to think about. So first and foremost is that there are no accidents. I believe truly that everything happens for a reason. Even what seems like a bad mistake or a good mistake, depending on how you define it, can be good if you believe that everything happens for a reason, that there's always a lesson behind it, right? There's always some purpose behind it. I remember thinking that if I could figure out how to get through it, if it helped just one person, that would be worth it. Just one person. Also, I learned to find things to be grateful for, even when it seemed like there was nothing to be grateful for. I learned that from a book, called Never Give Up. It was actually written by Donald Trump, his more humble book, if you call it that, but some good lessons in there. And I remember he said, even when things got hard, because he also went through a situation where he was over almost $1 billion in debt. Not 1 million, 1 billion. I'd much rather. So I started being grateful for not being $1 billion in debt like he was. I started being grateful for that. I started being grateful for just breathing, because some days that's all I could find, because everything else seemed to be failing. But if I could just say, at least I'm breathing today, at least I'm alive, at least I can work, I can do something about this, even if I don't know what the answer is. I just found something to be grateful for. And slowly over time, things started to turn around because I realized there's a purpose for this, and I'll be grateful. And here's a bonus for you. I kept focusing on how to make more money. And the way to make more money, this is the key. Listen up. It's dollars follow value. Dollars follow the value you create for other people. So what did I do? I started trying to help more people. I started to listen to what they were asking for. At the time, other people were in my situation. And it was good because I couldn't teach people how to get out of the rat race because I was back in it. So I started helping people how to find money because I was getting really resourceful and creative to find money to stretch it out. And guess what? That's what we did. We found money and help people do that, and actually help turn my business around as well. It started to help me get out of the rat race, and it started to help other people too. That's the thing, guys, is that you want to be able to find something to help people with. So I started to do that. And that's the real key thing here, is that if you want any mistake to work for you, to not be a failure, learn from it. What did you learn? I remember one point I had a family member that he was meeting with a friend of mine, and he did a bad investment during that recession. It backfired on him. He lost about $150,000. He was really, really dejected about it. And my friend asked him, he said, what did you learn from it? He said, well, I learned not to invest with that guy again. And to my surprise, my friend, some of you guys might know him, his name is Garrett J. White. If you've ever seen Wake Up Warrior or Warrior Code, he started ripping in my family member. He says, what? That's what you learned? Not to invest in that person again? That is where you're gonna go wrong. You're gonna repeat the same stupid mistake. And it took him by surprise. It actually made me nervous a little bit because this was a person that was like a very close family figure in my life. And I thought, oh my goodness, he's ripping him a hole. But he was right. Because if he just said, oh, I'm not gonna invest with that guy again, well, that wasn't the problem. The problem was the thinking that led him to investing with that guy in the first place. That's what had to be fixed. And that's the thing, is like, I'm not blaming the economy, although it didn't help my situation. I'm not blaming business partners who kind of screwed me over during that period of time. I'm not blaming them. That just attributed the situation. But ultimately, what got me into that financial situation was the choices that I made. It was me. I was the one that made those decisions that led to that. The question is, did I learn something from it? Yes, I learned that you do not cut off passive streams of income. In fact, that's why today, to this very day, I'm teaching all the time about how to create passive streams of income. Even if you make a lot of money in your job or your business, you gotta have multiple streams of passive income helping you right now. That's a huge one. I also learned about why it's important to have cash, to have liquidity. Because I was dumb during that recession to start throwing my money into equity in my house. And then all of a sudden, when the bank started saying, nope, no more equity lines, guys, I couldn't get that equity back out. I eventually ended up foreclosing on that house. I had to move out with 1 week before my 4th child was born. It was a very stressful time because I didn't have liquidity. I didn't have cash. But I learned it was important to have cash. And I learned this lesson most important of all. And this could be a lesson that you could apply to your situation, whether it's with finance or money, with your family or anything, is that I didn't listen to my gut. I felt that something was coming. I remember even when I bought that house, I said, you know what? I feel like I'm a little nervous here. I feel like there might be a reason not to buy this house. Maybe I should buy a smaller home. I didn't, because my pride and my ego got in the way. Guess what? I lost that home anyways. And it cost me so much. It cost me, guys, I had to dig out of that $1 million debt hole. I didn't file for bankruptcy, but I learned a lot of lessons of how to get through it. And here's the thing, is I knew there are no accidents. Those lessons I learned are the same ones I teach at moneyripples.com. They're the same ones I've helped people free up on average $34,000, $35,000 in the first year alone. All that pain became everybody else's gain. So whatever you're struggling with right now, whatever you're going through, whatever lessons you're learning right now, whatever mistakes you're dealing with, just know they're not mistakes if you take the real lesson and make it work for you in your life. Hey guys, if you like this video, click like, subscribe to our channel so you can get more videos and more stories just like this. And if you want to know how I did it, how I got out of the rat race, and you want to know how to achieve financial independence and retire early like I did at the age of 39, click on that video right now.